morning, good afternoon, good evening, Jar of Marble dwellers and Jar of Marble curious. My name is Linda and this is Jar of Marbles. It's so great that you're here. It's always so great. I know you love it, Bob, do you? I do. This week I was thinking about talking about pockets of time and how in these compartments of experiences they can lead us on a path, allow us to see important insights, changing our lives in some way. They can seem pointless and not helpful, not obviously adding any value to your life. But what about that time you went to Malta for a month? Sure thing, Bob. That was a pocket and a half. A gigantic pocket. Yes, a big hand holster. I like leaving receipts in my pocket. Yeah, it reminds me of when I had money. Oh, Bob, here's $5. Yeah, thanks. So, yes, back in 1990, I went to Malta and I was there for a month with my two kids. They were very young. I had no idea what I was in for, but I was going to have a pocket full of experiences, which would ultimately be bookmarked as pockets of time. The first memory that comes to mind as we flew over France and eventually, by comparison, this really small island that was Malta was below us. The entire country, the entire island, so small. The Mediterranean Ocean, its teals and blues, stunning with this white rocky island. I was 29 years old and it just looked amazing. It was ancient looking and culturally different to most things I'd known at that time in my life. Very, very hot, way too hot for my liking. I've never been one for heat. This way before menopause. Well, thanks for that. Well, you're welcome, Bob. Tarot reading, branded as a witch, especially as the predictions came true. Back in the day, I used to take my tarot cards with me everywhere, and my mother-in-law at the time had asked me to give a reading to her sister and she would do the translations because her sister couldn't speak English, so God only knows what she actually said. But anyway, part of the reading, it sort of said that was the ending of a feud that they'd been having there for a few years, and of course that came true, and then I was branded as a witch. But anyway, that's all right, that was then, and you know, what can you say? But we were also there for a wedding, which was just glorious, so incredibly old-fashioned and beautiful, and the meeting of so many beautiful souls. And grabbing pockets of time for time out was just looking like it was going to be pretty difficult. But meanwhile, in between all that, we went to ancient temples, what was left of them, still striking though, and the energy that was there was real and mildly intoxicating. Some of the most ancient structures in the world, in fact. Going to the beach, nearly delirious by the time I found the water's edge. The heat was beating me down, all the shops shut, the schools were closed. Why? Siesta. So hot. The whole island stops for a few hours and then they carry on after. I kind of didn't believe it. I was tired of being in the house and being housebound with everyone I didn't really know, all their kids and people sleeping on the floors, and the silence. It was just not my lifestyle at all. So this day I decided I was going to take myself up for a wee adventure when everyone went to sleep. I soon worked out that everything that I was told is absolutely true. Do not go out in that heat in the middle of the day. It was June. Summer was full on. It was, in fact, a series of watershed moments. Watershed? Well, figuratively speaking, a watershed moment is a turning point, the exact moment that changes the direction of an activity or a situation, your life. What did you change? Well, given some personal things that occurred on that holiday, that whole month there, like, for example, people openly said they kept on forgetting that I wasn't Maltese, and so they would just be talking in their language the whole time. I had two little girls, 3 and 5 of age at the time, and so there wasn't like a lot of time to learn the language, just enough to know a little bit. But then my husband, he would take to speaking Maltese all the time, so I had no idea that what they were saying. So to say the least, it was a very long month, and there was a dividing point to which things could never just really be the same for me. I divorced my husband not long after returning from Malta. Certain things that occurred there made me realise that it was very important that we actually did part company, not just because of that, there was years of other stuff, but that was like the point where you go, yeah, I did not think so. So that was pretty good. Momentous, in fact, and that's exactly what I did. Bazinga! I was heavily pregnant late 1995, many years after Malta. My final pregnancy, numero 3, and I had a very ordinary pregnancy and had experienced lots of pain in my legs, so much so that I couldn't walk for months. So I had to drag myself and my belly over the floor to get to, say, the toilet when I was alone. So it was hot, very hot, and I was cooking with this baby inside me so close to being born. I decided I needed to, after many months of being housebound, bit of a sort of pattern here, isn't there, really? That I needed to grab myself a pocket of time. So I dragged myself to the car with the thought of giving myself a bit of mental health time out, a bit of an outing. The picture of the beach waiting for me down the south coast where I lived, Borley Point Beach, it's just divine. So I got myself eventually to the water's edge, and heaven, felt the waves flowing over my body, cooling myself down instantly. I relaxed into that sensation and felt myself floating freely. It was the first bit of pain-free and weightlessness that I'd had literally in months. Oh my goodness, I know. Looking up to the sky, the clouds softly dappled above me, and then it was time to come back to the shore. Then I stood up and was pulled violently back further out into the sea. I realised I was in a rip. Oh, hell no. Super dangerous. I was actually in real trouble. And looking around, there was not one soul on the beach, no one at all. Crikey, Dix, no. What did you do? When I realised I had to get very serious about getting safely back to the shore, if I could, I literally, with my finger splayed, dug deeply and hard into the stony sand and slowly was able to drag myself out on my belly bit by bit. And I made it, and it took a really long time. Then I was so exhausted, I literally just lay there. Like a beached whale? Well, exactly like a beached whale, doll, yeah. I was so exhausted that I lay on the beach. I was just there for ages, which was not my preferred way of lying down, given, I was so pregnant. So that little pocket of time, while it was heavenly for a while, nearly cost me my life and the life of my baby. It was pretty scary, and I know I was lucky to be able to actually get myself out of that rip. The value of sucking in some negative ions at the beach just fuels me, fuels anyone that loves the beach. Vitamin C, SEA. I know, it's pretty good, isn't it? Yesterday I ate a clock. Oh, yes. Yeah, it was very time-consuming, especially when I went back for seconds. Oh, you're so funny, Bob. Yeah, I know. Oh, did you hear about the news? What news? The former CEO of IKEA is now the Prime Minister of Sweden. Spent the first week assembling his cabinet. Oh, good on you, Bob. When I look back in time, it is as though some memories seemed like they are wrapped up, placed in a pocket from an era from a very, very long time ago. What do you mean? Well, as time goes by and you get older, the memories that once lived on the tip of your tongue, they fall far away and at times are harder to access. Actually, I think I know what you mean. Well, that's a relief right there, Bob. I recall talking to a friend once who said that she felt she was better in touch with many of her memories, especially those in her teenage years, because she never left her hometown. Oh, that's interesting. I know. She saw her ex-primary teacher still on occasion, many of her old school pals, even old friends of her parents, even those that she even wasn't friends with. But seeing the same places, old schools and old haunts, seeing the changes of roads into highways and, say, old shops into trendy cafes, and the same people up there performing, acting, singing, sports and whatnot, seeing people you grew up with keeps your memory alive without even thinking about it. Yeah, I never thought of that. Yeah. So this had arisen because I left my home when I was 20 years old. I feel I have many pockets of time stashed in my proverbial pockets. I have moved a lot around in Australia. And so for all the people I've known, I have a very small and cherished circle. But my memories, I have to really think about, at different times. And most of them are just blurs. Unless I am there and I'm with people I knew years ago, I have the sense of familiarity, but that's about all. My life is full to the brim with love, children and people that I love. I have been lucky to have had some truly great friends in my life, but what is it about laundry on a washing line? Yeah, here we go. No, Bob, I find laundry on a line, and if I'm really lucky, a soft breeze moving the sheets, I could just stare at it for ages. Just something about it just speaks to me. Even though it is still done by some, it brings memories of a different, simple time. Sounds silly, I suppose, but watching the clothes in the sun and breezes makes me think of family, baby clothes. Oh, or when pregnant, washing all their clothes in preparation. Beautiful ritual. All their clothes lined up, moving slowly, looking so cute, tiny and sweet. The memories of donating them at some point after they no longer, could wear them, they've grown bigger. Took a photo of them and it's a photo I cherish. But every day, clothing of all kinds, in all kinds of weather, especially windy days, gives the impression of airiness and freshness. It gives me that feeling of the ingenuity of people, a kind of practical magic, a ritual that runs deep in us as it has been carried out for millennia, a task where we are assisted by the elements. There can be an ethereal or ghostly presence, I feel, from the raiments gracefully draping in the sun, and perhaps breeze, or wind. That's just very touching to me. Yeah, you really like it, don't you? Well, yeah, I do. It's a moment suspended in time, same as clothes, suspended in time, on a line. And why not? Yeah, why not? That's what I say, yeah. Oh, shush, Bob. It brings back memories of my mother and grandmother talking as they hung out there washing together. I mean, who stands and talks standing by a dryer? Yeah, that's a point. There's a point. That's a good point. This, like making bread, there's a zen element in there for me. Of course there is. That's right, Bob. I just spent 45 minutes on the treadmill. Oh, good on you. What's your goals, Bob? Tomorrow my goal's to turn it on. Good on you, Bob. My dad was a conjoined twin. Oh, really, Bob? Yeah, but separated at birth, so I have an uncle once removed. Who got you smiling? The voices on my head cracked a joke. Now leave me alone. I really feel like a day at the spa. The closest thing I get to a spa day is when I'm draining pasta and the steam smacks me in the face. Now that is a pocket of time of sheer bliss, getting to a spa for a time, hell, even a luxurious foot massage and back and shoulders. Shudder. How fabulous. Anyway, back to it. Now and then, as you know, you've just got to do it, don't you? You've got to do something for yourself. Do you know that Kate Winslet keeps her Oscar in the bathroom so her guests can hold it and make acceptance speeches in the mirror without feeling self-conscious? Oh, how very neat is that? I know, it's so lovely and so very cool. I mean, how can you not, behind closed doors in a bathroom, not for a moment grab the real deal, a real Oscar, and make your own acceptance speech? Just love it. I'd like to thank the Academy for choosing me. You like me, you like me. Geez, Bob, calm down, pedal. Never in the history of calm down, Bob, has anyone calmed down by being told to calm down. Really? Really, Bob. Hashtag pockets of time. It has come to my attention over the decades, through the years, that in pockets of time you can truly have some profound realisations. I realise that I no longer have to keep people in my life just because I've known them for decades, or not even for any particular length of time. Some people, regardless, they're just not good for me. Some people can be in our lives just because of who they were. Well, some people just aren't who they were. In those pockets of time, you might find yourself in a new era, in your own new era. It only need make sense to you, doesn't it? Yeah, you're right. People-pleasing has been so detrimental to so many of us, long before we even knew that it was a thing. It is interesting that just because people are good to you does not mean that they are good for you. It is always good to know what is good for you. Like spinach and fruit? Well, yeah, for sure. What vegetables should you never bring on a boat? A leek. Thanks, Bob. Knowing your worth and value. Although I am partial to dark chocolate. Thanks, Bob. Knowing your own value. This cannot be stressed how important it is to have a genuine sense of your own worth. Too often we're looking for it in another, and that is just not cutting it anymore. It's lovely, yes, when another thinks the world of you. Of course it is. But you best be caring for yourself too. As long as we're not valuing ourselves, we then can fall prey to betraying ourselves. Being your true self gets you genuine people. Don't let anyone treat you like free salsa. Oh, that's right, Bob. You cheese dip, baby. You are your cheese dip. Thanks, Bob. We have the right to be selective. Hope this resonates with you, and if it does, then clearly you are on a path of growth, and that has to be a really good thing, in which case, yes, a really good thing. It is by far my favourite subject and one that has changed my life for the better, so that has to changing the lens that you see yourself through. Oh, that's a good one. Well, yes, it's always a good thing to demand your worth. Demand it of yourself. Don't let external circumstances and situations measure your worth. What do you mean? Well, I realised this many moons ago that I wasn't going to allow others' treatment of me be the measure of my worth. Whoa, I know, right? Especially those that were clearly uncaring and only out for their own gain. Oh, yeah, I see now. So make sure you're looking through your lens and not those of others. Gee, I like that. Yeah, me too, Bob. Whoop, whoop. Hashtag pockets of time. Pockets of time to some simply means that they are, say, working very long hours and put aside pockets of time to spend with their family, or perhaps finding some time to work on your hobby or discover your hobby. I like the idea that a pocket of time holds a special memory, a time in which something lovely happened or an event that changed the course of our lives. Slightly artistic, it sounds like. Artistic license with words and sayings. Oh, yeah, that's what I meant. Of course it was, Bob. Looking back at unforgettable times in my own life, I have treasured memories that I knew in those times that they would very quickly become just that. Memories. I started calling it freeze framing, consciously holding a moment, an event, a cherished time, a pocket of time, not wanting it to end while being in the thick of it, taking in the colours, the looks, the eyes, the expressions, the talking, the laughter, the togetherness. And then pop-a-doodle, it was 20 years ago. But those pockets of time are fresh and filled with everything that makes it easy to access the memory and feel it as though it was an hour ago. I think it's a deep appreciation of what we have, which, on the other side of the plate, my wife blocked me on Facebook because I post too many bird puns. Well, two can play at that game. Get it? Two can. Yeah, got it, Bob. It astounds me when people who have so much, and I mean by so much that they have large supportive families, still have the nerve to complain about how nobody cares for them and does nothing for them. It's right in front of their faces, just as there are those who truly have no one and could and would benefit from a caring face and gestures and support. Yeah, people. Yep, some people. Yep. Almost all garden gnomes have red hats. It's a little known fact. It's just as I suspected. Someone has been adding soil to my garden. The plot thickens. Yeah. Hashtag pockets of time. We do not remember days, we remember moments, by author Cesare Pavase. The Burning Brand Diaries, 1935 to 1950. Emphasise the significance of meaningful moments in our lives. This quote reminds us to cherish and to hold on to the memories of those special moments that bring us love and meaning. By being fully present and savouring these experiences, we can create lasting memories that enrich our lives. In the end, it's not the years in your life that count, it's the life in your years. Attributed to Abraham Lincoln when he said this quote, it encourages us to focus on the quality of our experiences rather than the number of years we live. It reminds us to make the most of each day and fill our lives with those magical pockets of time. And from Oscar Wilde, memories are the diary we all carry with us, from his book The Importance of Being Earnest, 1895. Imagine if all our pockets of time could be sewn on our shirts and we could open up any pocket any time when we wanted to recall a magical moment. I love that as a visual, Bob, and a lovely thought. Yeah, I thought so. Some of the most cherished memories are often created in the most ordinary and simple moments. Highlights the importance of being present and enjoying each moment as it unfolds, rather than solely focusing on creating memorable experiences. By being fully engaged and present in the moment, we can naturally create genuine and spontaneous memories. Oh, yes, absolutely. Oh, yeah, I love that. Yeah, me too. There's a saying actually by an unknown author, which is, we didn't realise we were making memories, we were just having fun. And sometimes you will never know the true value of a moment until it becomes a memory. Oh, yeah, ain't that the truth? Most definitely, Bob. If this was the final moments of a story, like the ending of this week's episode? Yes, Bob. The protagonist, you having the leading role in your life, stands at the edge of a cliff overlooking a vast turbulent sea. You realise the true nature of time's pockets. The wind whips through your hair, carrying whispers of ancient wisdom. Suddenly you understand that these pockets of time are not just fleeting moments to be grasped and lost, but rather they are eternal and ever-present. They are the quiet spaces between heartbeats, the moments of stillness amidst chaos, and the breaths of serenity in the midst of turmoil. With this newfound realisation, the protagonist lets go of their fear and uncertainty, embracing the timeless essence of existence. They take a step forward, feeling the ground beneath their feet solidify with each stride. As they walk, they notice the pockets of time opening up around them, revealing hidden pathways and unforeseen possibilities. Oh, yes, I likey. And with each passing moment, the protagonist feels a sense of liberation and empowerment, knowing that they are not bound by the constraints of time, but rather they are guided by its gentle currents. They understand that no matter what challenges lie ahead, they can always find refuge in the pockets of time. And so, with a heart full of hope, the protagonist sets off into the unknown, knowing that wherever they go, the pockets of time will always be there to guide them, protect them, and remind them of the infinite possibilities that exist within every moment for all of us. And that's it for another week.
No, I'm not ready.
We'll come...
Yeah, we'll come back next week. Yeah, all right.
Well, we will. Again, Bob and I, thank you for popping in. So grateful that you do to come and share this pocket of time with us. You'll never be forgotten or taken for granted. So say good day to the family for me. Give the caterpillar a wink. And we'll see you next time, okay? Okay then. Bye.
Bye.